All right, guys, welcome back for another video. Today we're going to be talking about Torn PDA. And Torn PDA is a great tool which allows you to continue to play the game when you're away from your PC, doing things like work or school or other family obligations. So I'm an Apple guy, and I'm looking here at the Apple App Store listing for Torn City. And you're going to find two different apps here. This is the Torn app, which I don't recommend. Torn's a great game, but this app is just not as good as it could be. What we want to find is this one here. This is called Torn PDA. And you can further verify you've got the right thing because it'll mention this person's name, Manuel Ortega. So whether you're on Apple or Droid, you want to download this application to your phone. Part of the installation process, which I'm not going to show you here, is that you have to have a limited API key. And we covered this in a previous video, but you're going to go up here to your profile menu, and then you're going to click Settings, and then you're going to click right here, and I'm not going to do it because you'll see all my API keys, and these are like passwords, but you're going to click here, you're going to choose to create a key, you want to name the key Torn PDA, and you want to select Limited Access. And then you're going to copy that API key over to Torn PDA so that Torn PDA basically knows who you are. All right, so now that you've got the installation complete, I'm going to show you what Torn PDA looks like on my phone. All right, so let's access Torn PDA. And this is what your screen is going to look like when you first log in. Over on this tab here, there's a couple of different menus here. The main thing you're going to find that's super beneficial, at least as far as I'm concerned, is the travel tab, which we'll talk about in a moment. On this screen, I call this the dashboard, but on this screen it says at the top my status is okay. I can see my energy and nerve bars. I can also see how much happy in life I have. There's an indication here that my cooldown is going to continue to fall for the next 16 hours. No events at the moment. I have some messages in here. It shows how much cash I have on hand, how many points I have, other information relative to my job points, my battle stats, working stats. A lot of good information here on this home screen, including some information about my net worth. All right, so most of the functionality of this is going to be accessed by this gray button in the lower right-hand corner. So I'm going to click that, and we'll start on the home screen. Now, I'm sure there'll be some slight differences depending on how your PC may be set up and this sort of thing. But this, for all practical purposes, is exactly what you have access to in the PC version, the web-based version of Torn. All of your menus that are normally along the left, they're going to be here, and you can slide this group of menus left to right. You have your bars right there at the top. You've got your various icons that show you things like your booster cooldown, your drug cooldown, etc., etc. And then we have some more information here specific to our battle stats, our progress with crimes, some messages, some events, latest attacks, and equipped items. Lots of great information here on this page that you can access on the dashboard. All right, so we're going to hit the X in the upper left corner there. And this time, instead of home, I'm going to go to gym. And this, again, is virtually identical to what you may have on your PC. Although I'll point out here that if I was to go from the home screen here and then just slide this over, and just pick that right there, I'm going to get the same thing. There's really no reason to go to that outside menu. You've got crimes here, which here again I can access that on the home menu by just scrolling here and hitting the thumbprint. But I would encourage you to just kind of explore this app a little bit and this kind of thing. Now here is where I think Torn PDA hits it out of the park. In a previous video, we talked about something called Arson Warehouse for the purpose of predicting the availability of things like plushies and flowers overseas. And today we're going to use Torn PDA to do that same thing, and in my opinion, do it way better than you can do in Arson Warehouse. So to do this, we're going to hit that little orange suitcase icon right there in the center of the screen. And once it has a moment to load up here, you're going to see the different countries and this kind of thing, starting with camel plushies in the UAE. All right, so what this is showing me is that camel plushies are available for $14,000 each. It also shows me that I should be able to make roughly $57,000 per plushie when I get back to Torn. It's showing me the current stock amount, $19.97, and it's estimating profit per hour if I was to run camel plushies consistently. The other thing we can do is we can hit this little down arrow right under the UAE flag there. And when we do this, this is where it's going to advise us about whether or not there's going to be availability when we arrive at the UAE. More specifically, it's telling me right at the top there, I can travel now. And it says I'm going to arrive at 21:15, and the average restock time is 20 minutes, and it has medium reliability in terms of the information. And this graph right here is just trying to show you more or less how the different times of the day, how much stock has been in the store for this particular item. All right, so we're gonna close that down. The other thing I want to point out here is that you have this filter button at the bottom. Now, if you wanted to know only for, say, close countries, I could turn all of these buttons off. And so by changing these buttons here, I set it to where I only look at Mexico, Canada, and Cayman. And now this list has been filtered appropriately. But I usually leave all the countries lit up. All right, the other thing I can do beneath that is I currently have it set to be only flowers and plushies. But I could add this one here to add in drug items. And I can also add this one here to kind of get all the other stuff. But I generally trade only in plushies and flowers, so I'm generally only going to leave those two lit up. The other thing you want to look at here at the top, this 3-bar deal at the top, I recommend that you sort by profit. So the most profitable ones appear at the top and the least profitable ones appear at the bottom. Now, this is typically the case with the plushies. UAE and China are consistently among the highest profit per hour. But as I've said in previous videos, those may not be ideal for newer players, mostly because of the loss of energy and nerve regeneration by doing these longer trips. Now, the other thing I mentioned previously in the traveling YouTube video is that I generally prefer to travel to a country that's going to have both the plushie and the flower in stock at the time of arrival. So in the case of Cayman, it's saying there's a caution because it's going to deplete on the Stingray, and in the case of the banana orchid, it's going to give me the travel now indication. With Canada, we have a travel now for the plushie, and we have a caution for the crocus. And with Mexico, this is going to say caution, and with the dahlia, it's going to say travel later on. So in the case of all three of these are not necessarily ideal, at least for the standard I use to pick. Now, in the case of the UK, I'm looking for 2 out of the 3. This one's a no. This one will be a yes. And this one here is going to also be a no. So that's going to be a strike. Argentina, this is saying caution, which I don't like. So not really a lot of good choices here in terms of my criteria for finding the right place to go. But let's assume, for the sake of making an example, that I got travel now with the plushie, and I also got travel now with the crocus. At this point, all I have to do is click the Canadian flag, and it's going to put me directly into the airport. And all I have to do now is click where it says free, and it's going to initiate the flight. Now, for the purpose of making an example here, I'm going to deposit my money so that I can show you a feature that this has. All right, so now I have no money in my wallet. I go and I do my search. I decide I'm going to Canada. I punch the Canada button, and you see right there, it's going to give me an alert saying that I'm low on cash. The other thing that this alert will do is it may tell you that there'll be energy or nerve wasted with a similar alert, and you may also get an indication on your organized crime. We're still trying to field a team for this particular crime, so I'm in no danger of getting that alert. But the long story short, these little alerts kind of keep you from making silly mistakes. And this is the reason that 95% of the time when I do a flight, whether I'm at my PC or not, I'm going to use Torn PDA. All right, so that was the main thing I wanted to cover on Torn PDA. I encourage you to just kind of explore and look around and see what else you find in here. But this travel is definitively my favorite part of Torn PDA. All right, let's move back over to the PC. Okay, so that's it, Torn PDA. If you have any issues, let me know in the video comments, and we'll see you next time.